Welcome into House of Wrestling, everybody. It's me, Nick Hausman. At this time, I am joined by two women that you've probably seen on WWE TV or in Impact Wrestling. They have their podcast coming back for season 3. It's called Off Her Chops. You can find it now on Premier Streaming Network and all podcast platforms. It is Jessica McKay, Cassie Lee, the Inspiration 2 Eyes. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me here today.
What a fabulous introduction, and thank you for prefacing the 2 eyes. Appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Inspiration, iconic, 2 eyes, 2 of you. So this is exciting. I was really happy to hear you're joining the Premier Streaming Network. Obviously, our show is on this network as well. Why did you all decide this was the time to bring the show back and make the home for it over here on Premier Streaming Network?
It just seemed like the right time. And I think Cass would agree. We had been gone for about 2 years from the podcast world, and it just felt like the right time. We had gone through a lot in our personal lives, Cassie especially. So it just felt, like we had to come back and update our pork chops on what's been happening, and we missed it. And it's a chance for us to get together and to bullshit around, as one might say.
Sure.
So it's a lot of fun, and Premiere was just an amazing platform that we were able to be a part of. So we're excited. Season 3.
Absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of life changes here, Cass, you are now a mother, and Jess, you are going to be a mother, if I'm getting all of this correctly here.
I am pregnant, yes.
We'll start with Cassie first. So, Cass, how is mom life? How is it adapting to having a child around the home, and also like still being around the pro wrestling crazy business at the same time?
Yes. So being a mom is like the most fulfilling thing in the world, and I had no idea that I would, even feel like this. It's the best job. I play with my son every day, and I just sit there and I look at him, and my eyes fill up with water literally every day, because it's just the best. But still being around like the wrestling world, because I go to flatbacks a lot during the week, and it just makes me miss it. Like just being around the industry. So I do miss it, but I am glad that I can like scratch my itch and get in the ring at training.
Well, obviously, Jess is pregnant now as well. But while she's pregnant, you say you're training right now, or do you consider a solo brief run here while your friend is off becoming a mother as well? Is that kind of maybe what you're teasing here, or no?
No, not necessarily. So I am starting some wrestling. My expertise and my favorite style of wrestling is in the tag team division, whether that be with my life partner or with my other life partner, my husband, and doing mixed tags. But tag wrestling in general is what I am truly passionate about. So that is what I'm kind of going back to towards the end of the year. I actually have a tour coming up in Australia in October. So I'm really excited for that.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I know StarCast is going down to Australia later this year. It's just I don't think people realize how hot the Australia market is right now for pro wrestling. There's a really, really hot scene going on.
Australia has had like the hottest talent for so long. Like when Jess and I first started, we were surrounded by some of the most talented wrestlers, and just because we're on the whole other side of the world, people just don't know, and it makes me sad. But I am glad that with streaming services and everything kind of opening up so much more in the past 5-10 years or whatever, that people are starting to get to know those people that we've come up with. Like, yeah, there's a lot of good talent down there.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, Jess, how is being pregnant for you? Are you enjoying becoming a mother right now?
Oh, it's been amazing. It's such a journey. Every day has been different. The first trimester, as a lot of people would tell you, is rough. The nausea 24/7, it can get a bit rough. But I'm well into my second trimester, kind of on the end towards that, and it's just been great. I love seeing my body change. I love buying things for the nursery. It's just a beautiful time for my husband and I, and I just can't wait for our kids to be best friends. Like I'm so excited.
Well, you say the kids
under a year apart.
You're saying the kids are going to be best friends, but I think the natural question here is, will they be tag team partners? Are you two already envisioning some kind of tag team run for your kids, managing them, anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as soon as I found out that I was having a boy, I was like, right, we've got tag team champs on our hands. Or what are we thinking for names? What do you think? What are we going with? And that's just exciting because that's been our life. Like Cass and I grew up dreaming this massive dream and achieving it together, and we've had each other alongside every step of the way. So the fact that our kids could have that same experience together, like that's like the next generation. Like, and you know, we had always spoken about this and having kids together, but we didn't know if it would actually happen. And the fact that it's happening, it's just a really special time. It's kind of like, oh, I don't know, it's just life, and it's beautiful, and I can't wait.
Yeah, it's been really something here in the past. I mean, I would say 10 years or less, the ability to like become a mom and keep your career going, you know, like that's the thing we're seeing right now. And I don't know if how that resonates with you all to see these other women like Becky Lynch going off and having kids and coming back and kicking ass, you know. It's just a change of tune from the way it was just not too long ago, you know.
Yeah, when I when I realized that I was ready to start a family, I had these conversations with Becky because she was kind of like leading the way and kind of creating this path for the rest of us. At the time, my fear was that I'm going to go and be a mum, and then I'm never going to be seen in the light to be like a credible wrestler anymore. And that was like a huge fear of mine because it just wasn't, people weren't doing it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's so different now, and it makes me really happy.
Yeah, because you all signed it with WWE, I think in like 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And like even then, when you got in, I'm sure the attitude towards women was radically different then than it is even today, 8 years later, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it was definitely different back then. And it's just it's crazy how different even 8 years can change. It seems like a whole generation has shifted in women's wrestling in general. But of course, you know, I think there's about 6 or 7 female wrestlers that are pregnant or have had a child in the past, you know, 2 years, and that's just like that's never been like done before. So it's beautiful to see all these strong women not get put into a box, because we can be mothers, we can be athletes, we can be wrestlers, we can be sexy, we can be anything, and we get to like show that now. So it's a really cool time.
Yeah, because you guys were part of one of the initial classes down at the Performance Center, right? And like that whole era of women's wrestling down at NXT, and when Triple H was really kind of starting to get his hands on with the style of wrestling he wanted to present. A lot of people point to that as really when that kind of women's revolution started to kick off. I mean, when you guys look back on it now, do you feel like you were a part of that movement and starting to help elevate what the women are able to do now, I guess, in WWE and elsewhere?
Yeah, I always say when we came in at a really good time, because like the women were like, Hunter was like really behind the women and like pushing them. Paige and Emma were just, you know, at the forefront, and they kind of led the way for us. But we came in like at such a good time when women were taken seriously and things started to change. And I always feel very blessed that we came in when we did.
It's not just that you were like women coming in this time, you were a women's tag team, right?
Yes.
Which is like even more of a unicorn in this situation, right? What was it like for you to pitching, trying to get momentum with that women's tag team division, get that division taken seriously? What was that process like for you, talking to management about that?
I mean, ever since day one, like if you go back and watch, I'm sure you can find them somewhere. We used to do promo class at the Performance Center each week, and our first promo that we ever did was talking about how we wanted to pioneer the women's tag team division. So that was very, as soon as we got to the PC, that was the image we created for ourselves. We wanted to be a tag team, and we wanted to push the tag team division as far as we could, because it hadn't really been done before that. Yes, there were some great tag teams like Cool Bella Twins before us, but in terms of having a division, it just hadn't been done yet. So we've always been pushing for that. It was interesting. We wanted it so bad. I think they kind of got sick of us because we were always together. So they were kind of like, stop spending time together and try and find yourselves individually. So we did that for a couple of months, and then we came back and they're like, all right, I'm going to put you together. And we were like, oh, okay. And it was an interesting time because we had both found these individual characters and we were trying to mesh them, but they weren't
so different.
They were so different, and they just didn't blend together. And we tell this story all the time. We were doing a backstage promo, and they had, we'd gone over it. We did the promo, and they were like, we're just going to go again. We just need it to be more. They couldn't really tell us there was something missing, but they couldn't tell us. And right before we did the second take, we just looked at each other and said, can we just do our usual shtick? And we both said, yep, let's do it. And we did that second take and they loved it. And we just grabbed it and ran with it. So it's just so interesting how it all came back to what we originally wanted. And then we had a great time at NXT. We had so much fun. Great group of women down there. And then obviously debuting, the SmackDown after WrestleMania, which was, no pun intended, absolutely iconic. I feel like we had a great debut on the main roster.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just, kept on fighting for that women's tag division. And thank goodness we were able to capture the championships at WrestleMania, which, I mean, even to this day, when we talk about this, it still seems so surreal. But damn, I'm so proud of us because we worked our bloody asses off to get here and sacrificed a lot. So the fact that we accomplished everything that we had set out to do, I mean, we're just bloody awesome.
How did you guys feel about getting broken up in the draft then, right? Because that's you guys just seem like such a layup to be like the centerpiece of that division. I was, I think, shocked like everybody else when that happened,
I think when they split us up, just from being a tag team and the draft was coming up, it was inevitable that they were going to put us on separate brands so that we kind of didn't cross paths. And then, so you know what it's like on TV, like, oh, there's a women's tag match. We're going to put two singles wrestlers together. And so if we were on the same brand, we would have been 100% tagging up at some point, but they split us up. So it just wouldn't have made sense. But that was so hard because our whole journeys we had done together. And now it's like, okay, we're going on separate brands, which means we're going to be traveling individually, which is not good for my mental health. But we actually didn't end up going on the road because we got fired.
Right. I wasn't going to bring
the pandemic, so we were just driving to Tampa and back, which worked out good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, after you guys left WWE, you guys obviously went to Impact Wrestling, but I think a lot of people had thoughts of, you guys in AEW. Obviously, Cass, there's a connection there with your husband, Sean Spears. Why did you guys choose Impact as opposed to possibly leaping over to AEW when you guys became free agents?
It just felt like the right step to make. It was something that we had kind of spoken about together. There are a lot of things that have to come together to make something work. And Impact just came together. It was the right time for us. It felt good. We liked the schedule. It being a little bit more relaxed because we had been at home kind of out of the wrestling bubble for a little bit, and we knew that we wanted to try and maintain that balance. So it just felt good. And we had known a lot of the girls in the locker room, never worked with them inside the ring. So it was just an exciting time for us. And then we also just had a fun time kind of rebranding and evolving our characters, which was so much fun. I remember Cass came over one day and I said, okay. And I sat her down and I had my computer set up and I was like, we could do this and this and this and this. And it was kind of just getting the ball rolling. And she's like, oh, what about this? We would do that. And it was just really fun. And we had kind of lost that fun and we hadn't teamed up for so long. So it was kind of re-sparking our love for tag team wrestling at the moment. So just kind of all fit into place.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and how about AEW? What do you both think of their division? Obviously, there was that controversial Lufisto interview about 2 weeks ago where a lot of things were said. How do you feel about the way women's wrestling is being handled, I guess, over at AEW right now?
It's hard to say because we're not there, and so I don't like to speak on something that I don't have first experience of, and I'm also of the camp that even things that I see or hear, I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
So I didn't catch the interview that you're referring to. All I saw online was everyone saying how great Ruby is, and I was like, okay, well, let me jump on this bandwagon because she's fantastic in every sense of the word. So I'm really not sure what it was about. All I know is that Ruby's great, but I don't know because I'm not there, so it's hard to like speak on.
Yeah, and we don't really go on Twitter or X as they say these days.
Sure.
So we're kind of out of the loop with a lot of things, which is I love it.
Awesome. That is bringing me to time here today with you two ladies. I want to thank you both so much for the time. I'm very excited again. Off Her Chops coming to Premier Streaming Network. Where would you both like to send people to find y'all, support the show, all those wonderful things?
Yes, you can find us on the socials at Cassie Lee, at Jessica McKay, at Off Her Chops, at Producer Snoogs, and on YouTube at Off Her Chops. Did I miss anything?
That you got it all, and all the links. We've got all the links and